Could you tell me about what life was like for you before therapy and then when you came to therapy?
Yeah, before therapy, I was quite lost really.
Okay.
I think with my sort of history of mental health issues I've gone through, probably started early 20s.
Right.
And I remember I used to play in a lot of bands in music, and I remember writing a song lyric when I first started doing vocals in a band, and it was 2 floors up you'll find with a noose around my neck.
Yeah.
And I wrote that, and instantly after that band practice, one of my close friends with the band looked around to me and went, "Are you okay?" And I was kind of like, "Yeah, I'm alright." And that went on for quite a lot of years.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's something that I think all through my 20s really was always sort of in the back of my mind. I was doing, I guess, a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, trying to mask everything that was going on.
Right.
And I always thought, for me, sort of being a man, you know, keeping everything close in, not talking about it, being macho, not
So
wanting to
the only
speak to
outlet
anything.
that you had were your songs?
Yeah, it was basically music.
So
At the time I was BMXing a lot as well,
Yeah.
so I was out doing that a lot. So again, sort of exercise and everything was helping, and cycling and that sort of social network. But getting everything I was going through, everything I was feeling, I could get out in the music at the time.
Okay.
And it wasn't until a sort of friend turned to me and said, "Are you okay?" And I thought, "Yeah, I'm alright." And that went on for a while. And this friend sort of kept checking on me quite regularly for quite a few years, and I was in that band for quite a long time, but my lyrics were getting sort of darker and darker as well, and it was my way of expressing everything. I could just throw that out there basically, and put that into my songs. And when I look back, that was quite a few years ago. So it's kind of built up from there. So I always thought therapy for me was something you heard in American sitcoms, sort of on films, television, you know, and you hear Americans going, "Yeah, I go to therapy," and it's like a normal thing.
Yeah.
For me, especially over here in the UK, etc., it's kind of like, we don't do things like that. We don't talk about feelings.
You have a stiff upper lip.
Yeah, exactly. Pull your socks up, get on with it. You know, I'm a man. You don't show emotion. You know, you don't cry. You'll be all right. Everything's normal. And all I was doing was masking everything.
Yeah.
Everything and everything and everything. So I was putting everything down into songs onto paper, performing them, putting it out there, but it wasn't helping. It wasn't getting me anywhere. And I think as a man, is something that we do if we don't talk about things.
Yeah.
You know, so when I had friends kind of going, "Are you all right?" I was kind of like, "Yeah, I'm all right." He knew I wasn't. I knew I wasn't. But the instant thing you say is, "Yeah, I'm fine."
So what society programmed you with
absolutely.
is exactly
yeah,
what you went
100%.
with.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's sort of something, again, I think from a very young age, I've had kind of distilled in me. That's it, you know, you've got to just get on, pull your socks up. We don't show this emotion, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, don't let things bother you. And everything just kind of spirals. It's like a snowball effect. Everything is getting more and more. And
what were your symptoms then? What were you actually suffering?
Oh, I was definitely suffering with depression. Absolutely. You know, at the time I was probably abusing alcohol quite heavily.
Yes.
I was going in and out of jobs. I kept jobs for a while, but I was just literally sort of floating along, masking a lot of things. I had more enjoyment going out and doing silly things, drinking, having a laugh than I did facing the real world, really.
Right.
I think at the time. And yeah, I knew I kind of needed some sort of help. Something was going on, but it took a long time before I kind of stepped through the door for therapy, really.
What was the real world then that you when you said facing the real world?
Yeah, it's kind of switching off to adulting, I guess. The sort of changing from a young sort of man into slightly older man, having to pay your rent, having to pay bills. You know, I dropped out of university early 20s as well, so I kind of
was that facing reality, or was that because you had a mental illness?
I'd say it's probably now if I'd look back and say it's because of mental illness. Back then I was just literally trying to live the dream, as you do, you know, try and get on and just sort of realise that there's a lot of things going on and you don't need to worry about them things. You don't need to worry about that, just carry on, enjoy yourself. And it wasn't until my late 20s that you sort of go, "Oh, wait a minute, something's going on." And it wasn't until my early 30s that I realised, oh, maybe it's a bit more serious. People around you noticing things, you know, wife noticing there's things going on. I'm acting different. I had a lot of anger, a lot of rage that came out. I had a very short temper, and I would just go into days and days of just lose myself, really, not really, you know, function properly. Just kind of drift along. Absolutely. Okay. I kind of got lost in it, really. And then for my journey there was a few sort of events that happened that made me go, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
it's you know, there's something going on. Life's a bit too short. What am I kind of doing?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't control my feelings, really, I guess. I was getting deeper and deeper inside myself.
Okay.
So I've always been someone that has a smile on the face, gets dressed in the morning, goes to work, everything's okay, but inside you just be screaming away as you do, you know, all day, every day. No one knows that. I managed to hide it, I think, for 20 years, maybe 15 years or something. I was probably hiding that from people, and
then
people weren't.
Was, you know, when you turned around, you said lots of people began to notice something.
Yeah.
Was that when you decided to notice it more as well?
I don't think so, because I did try sort of therapy once for a few weeks, and it just, at the time, it wasn't for me. I just didn't. It's not that I didn't click with the person I was seeing. I just think I wasn't in the right frame of mind, right space to admit there was something wrong.
Right.
Because they say the hardest thing is to kind of admit something's wrong and go through the door and get the first kind of meeting out of the way. I didn't think that was an issue. I was quite, I guess I was a little bit cocky. I suppose my sort of arrogance was, everything's all right, it's fine. I went along and thought, what's this person talking about?
Was that your arrogance, or was it that your programming? Is like you said, you were brought up.
It'd be programming. It's just switch off. The moment you've got to show emotion or anything, you switch off. You shut down. You don't want anyone.
Well, how would you know how to do it really if you've been told to keep it in?
So for me, it was just, that was the way. It was just shut it down. Yes. Someone's talking to you about this. You're like, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm fine. Off you go again. Yeah. You know, and that went on for quite a while. Until sort of decided to find yourself and get therapy. And I think it was sort of almost, again, a sort of channel of events that brought it about, but it was also myself accepting something was wrong, something was going on, this isn't right, you know, I'm not functioning properly, you know, I'm not doing things that are helpful to people, I'm not doing things that are helpful for myself, and then I was just going further and further down. It was hard. I was having more depression. I was, you know, bad times and good times. I was struggling to control it all.
So because it was, you weren't addressing the problem.
Absolutely.
The problem began to,
absolutely, just masking it constantly, forgetting it's there. There'd always be a niggle in the back of the mind, but just forgetting it's there.
So that screaming was actually the inside of you screaming to be heard.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Okay. That's just me saying, well, listen to me. And I'm going, no. Yeah. Don't be silly.
No, people have taught
Don't be silly. You don't do that. Carry on, you know, just carry on with work, you know, get on with it. Everything's fine. Just get on with it. And I think that's something for me that programmed for a young age of just get on with it. And I think, again, sort of as a man in this sort of society, in this world, that's what we're brought up with a lot. And it's thrown on us that you don't do that, you don't act like that, nothing's wrong, you don't show emotion, you know, you don't cry, you've got to be tough. And that's sort of what I was like for a very, very long time. And it took me a long time and a lot of things to happen, a lot of understanding what was going on, and a lot of things going on for me inside to go, wait a minute, it is normal to kind of react in different ways, it is normal to be emotional, it is okay to stand up and go, you know what, I'm having a bad day, I'm not okay, you know, I'm not okay today, I've not been okay for a month, you know, maybe I do need help. And it's to sort of walk in through a door, accept that something was wrong, get therapy, probably absolutely changed my life, and it turned it around.
Would you say that it is normal to react to something that's abnormal because that's what was happening for you, that your body's screaming out and saying there's something not right, what we're doing?
You just shut it down. I was just shutting it down, sort of telling it to be quiet, you know, carry on. And then with the depression came anxiety, to the point where if I was going somewhere, I'd panic. I'd have to look at a map 17 times before I went to an appointment or a meeting to do work or something. I'd have to check the route. I'd have to know where I'm going. I'd have to know the times. And then what if things go wrong? What happens if it's late? And then the anxiety just builds and builds and builds. Yeah. And it wasn't to the point where I couldn't go to work or I couldn't get out the front door or face the world. It was just I'd always have to take 5 minutes and just go, come on, you can do this, come on. And that went on again for quite a while, and that just, it crisscrosses. 1 minute that's up, the depression's up and down. It's just, and that was sort of how I was living really for quite a long time. And
do you think that life factors in illness then? If you're saying that you carried on going to work, then it's almost like illness isn't factored in, is it?
No, it's not at all, because then at the back of your mind I've got to pay my bills, I can't take time off.
Yeah.
You know, what are people going to think? That's not an excuse. You know,
Yeah.
I can't phone up and say I'm just having a bad day. They're not going to understand. My leg hasn't fallen off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not physically ill, so to speak. So it's different when you've got a broken leg. You put a cast on and people go, oh, how did that happen? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You have to see it. Exactly.
Yeah, they want evidence.
Yeah. Absolutely. When it's inside you, people don't know that you're broken, that something's hurting inside, and they don't understand. So my sort of, again, upbringing way of thinking at that time was, I'm okay, and people don't need to know that. Put my brave face on, mask it, get on, you know, do my 9 to 5, come home, and whatever happens. But, you know, once I'm home, that doesn't matter. People can't see that.
Yeah,
you know, while I'm going to work, you just act sort of normal, and that's it.
So for you, when you were then diagnosed with depression and anxiety, what was that like to be diagnosed with that?
It was quite scary, because then it's putting a name on something.
And then it's real,
and then now. You know, going to sort of doctors, etc., and then, you know, talking to people, going through your symptoms, what you do, what's going on. It's a sort of reality hits, and I think almost one day, again, I was kind of ignoring it, and I'm like, these people don't know what they're talking about, I'm fine. And then one day you kind of wake up and go, oh, wait a minute, maybe there is something wrong, and you slowly start accepting it, and you slowly start going, yeah, I need to change this behaviour isn't right. You know, I'm not thinking rationally, I'm doing this, I'm doing X, Y and Z, and then it kind of slowly dawns on you, and then the snowball keeps going, things are still piling up, but you've got a bit of a name for it. Then you can kind of go, oh, wait a minute, that is what's going on, maybe I can address this. And then kind of before therapy, I was put on antidepressants. I think I was on them for a couple of years, and for me that didn't work. I think I was just kind of giving them, it didn't work.
I guess that in a way you get validated, and then you get a tablet to validate you, but the tablet doesn't validate your body.
No, exactly.
Because your body's still screaming.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't, again, it was just a masking. It was masking what's going on.
Because it's a medication, so it's called medicate, to medicate you, but not to...
So it gave me, like, it's different for everyone. It gave me massive brain fog. I was tired all the time. And then I was still on it when I started therapy. And then it wasn't... I kind of woke up again one day and kind of thought, I need to get off this. I changed jobs again, and it went back to a place I'd worked previous, and they'd seen a massive change in me because of events that had gone on as well. They'd obviously seen that I've gone sort of downhill, so to speak, and they kept asking me, all right, and I couldn't put my finger on it because I was going to therapy. I was doing everything that, you know, inside I was kind of feeling better, but there was just something, I put it down to the medication, because I just had massive, I couldn't remember anything. You know, I'd get given instructions at work, I just couldn't remember. 2 minutes later they're gone, and I was like, what? I used to have a great memory, what's going on? And it's sort of them things that it's like, right, let's get off this medication. The moment I stopped that, the brain fog went, and I could concentrate again, and it made a massive difference. So that, with then the therapy and working through everything, just made a massive change. So I think for a couple of years in sort of that lull where I've accepted this, I've got this mental health problem, you know, I'm going to research it, I'm going to learn about it. I like to research things and know a lot. I like to know how things work. So I take things apart a lot and put them back together.
That's
things
good
work.
That you have that interest in yourself as well.
Yeah. So I wanted to know what was going on. The moment they kind of peeled that layer off, and I kind of went, right, wait a minute, something is wrong. I wanted to learn about it. Good. So that got me interested more in men's mental health and what was going on for me. And then looking at other friends that were going through it, I was asking questions, I was opening up. So instead of kind of sitting there and masking it or going out and pretending I'm all right, you know, still performing in the band but pretending everything's okay, you know, try to live rock and roll but, you know, just masking it all. When I took a couple more layers off, I kind of suddenly went, wait a minute, there is other people with these, how are they reacting, how do they deal with it? And I started researching, looking into it, and, you know, got me very interested in how my own brain was working, how we can sort of fix it.
So within that interest, did your art change then in terms of the lyrics that you were writing?
Yeah, some got darker and some got lighter. I found through music I've been doing, it can be a bit of a voice really. I can put my emotions in. Type of music I play as well is emotional music. It's heavy. You've got to put everything into it. And I think performing that, I used to like change. I'd take sort of 5 minutes before a special played live and sort of disappear, go inside myself, find that darkness, I guess, to perform it, exactly, to go, you can do this, and then become this person that I'm writing about or the lyrics about. And then recently, in the last sort of year, that stopped. I can kind of now switch it on, off, perform, turn it off. It's not affecting me, but I still get emotional with when I'm certain songs about what I'm talking about because it's personal.
What's the best, would you say, song that you've written, that you've sang, that for you is there not a best one?
There's quite a few, maybe.
There's quite a few.
Yeah,
okay.
they're all quite dark lyrically.
The one that I heard, you know,
there's one
amazing.
about basically wanting to kill myself,
Yeah.
which is probably a topic people don't talk about a lot.
Yeah,
and
but
again,
the way that you sing,
yeah,
I mean, you've got an amazing voice, but the way that you sing, it's like, you know, it does capture the way that somebody might actually be feeling at the
absolutely,
time.
yeah. And to do that, it's a 7-minute song or something, and that's 7 minutes of me putting in 100% of everything I feel with every word that I've written for that song. And it's something that performing that, there's like a slow intro build up, and you get into it, and I think we played a gig in London recently, and you almost cry, and I'm almost crying before I perform it.
Yeah.
And you're in front of people, and you're like, what am I doing? But it's just that energy, that kind of, I know what this is, and then it comes out.
Yeah.
And then you know, people are like, whoa, okay, and it always gets good feedback. And it's sort of, for me, that's again going back to when I was like 23 years old, putting that down on paper, putting it down in music was my way of going, I'm not alright, here's my lyrics, you guys can figure out if I'm alright or not. I'm telling you this is what's going on. And now I've kind of taken what I feel and I've now put it into sort of helping other people. Maybe one person can listen to that song and go, I know that person's feeling, you know, I know exactly what that's like. I can get help, you know. And that's sort of, again, as a man, that's something we don't talk about. And it's feelings and it's poetry and it's
it's everything,
you know. And
really.
people go, oh, guys, don't do that, you don't write music and poetry and words. And it's like, that's something I've always found. Art in that sense has always been something that has really helped me with that. So yeah, it's a massive learning curve and gone up and down with it, but it's something that helps me. Definitely something that I can throw everything in and perform it, and people hopefully get where I'm coming from.
If you could say, you know, for you, for, like you say, for men that can't speak out or that have that programming of, you know, we're macho, this is what we do, what would you say to them?
We're not all macho.
Yeah.
Basically, you might
just
think
a made
you
up
are.
name anyway.
You are, yeah. You
in
might
the
think
made-up
you're the
world.
hardest person in the world,
Yeah.
but you're not. Everyone inside is hurt
Yeah.
or something going on. You never know what that next person has going on that day.
Yeah.
So it's always, I'd say be kind to people and don't judge them, because you don't know what that day they're going through. They could be having the worst time of their life and putting that smile on and masking it like I used to do and carry on with everything.
And we're all human beings as well.
Absolutely.
I think one of the things that can be, I remember hearing somebody say to a little boy, boys don't cry. Yeah. Did you ever hear that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then we can't make a human being.
No.
So it's quite an arrogant thing to say that boys don't cry when we can't make we're given the tools to make it, but we can't make a human being. So in our beingness, why would we have tear ducts if boys don't cry?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we cry in pain in mental health. What I've gone through is pain. Yeah. You have pain inside you that you want to stop.
Exactly.
And that's why I had massive suicidal thoughts for a very, very long time, and have come close a couple of times in my life to saying enough's enough.
What were you saying enough to?
Just the pain. There's something inside you that is broken, that hurts.
So you wanted that to die.
Yeah.
But not you to.
No, absolutely.
Die.
I didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I know that you can have rose tinted glasses on and you can kind of think, you know, that it's different, that, you know, that the pain, if everything ended, then that's got to be the answer. But it's not. There's just something inside you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, you can put sunglasses on, dark sunglasses, and forget the world, switch off from it completely. But there's still something inside you, and if you kill that part, everything else could be good.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of realizing that this is dark. I'm very low. Awful pain going on. I want that to end, but I don't want to go anywhere. I want to face life. I want to carry on, but I want that's inside me to go and end. Yeah.
So that was, I guess, the suicide that you spoke about. Would you say that you committed suicide then, in other words? That
yeah,
is that ended?
So to speak. Yeah, that's definitely, I've got rid of that. Yeah, that's
Okay.
ended. Yeah,
So
so I've killed that part basically.
That part,
I've got rid of that completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
sure,
was you expressing that as suicide. That actually that part has gone, and you've carried on living. And is your life better now?
Absolutely. Yeah. When the voices go and the pain goes, then you can manage it. Everything else seems a better place.
Yeah.
You know, you see everything black and white. Everything's grey and dark and horrible when you're depressed and you're at the lowest. And the world isn't that. There's so many colours in the world. There's so many beautiful things to see.
Yeah.
And you forget that. When you're at your lowest, you absolutely forget that there's other things going on in the world. You are so shut down, so closed off. Everything's closed that you're not opening your eyes to everything. You're just looking at what's in front of you and what you're feeling, what that pain is and what you're going through. Yeah. And then if you can take that away, everything becomes in 3D and beautiful colour and everything looks amazing. And, you know, that's, again, that only lasts for a while. The darkness only lasts for a while. There's always something, you know, that can change it and make the world look a better place to you.
Would you say that it's when you speak about the world, is it the world of thoughts?
It's your world. It's kind of the world inside you.
The world of thoughts, So the world of what you've been taught is the one that disturbed you and gave you depression.
Yeah.
But actually, the world itself is not like
no, not at all.
No, it's
not
just the thoughts. It's just what we've been brought up to think about ourselves and think about become human doings instead of human beings.
So you said about boys don't cry. That's something that it wasn't just from parents, father figures, it's from school, it's from education, it's from other people you meet in the street, it's from television, it's from
all
media.
The people that have,
it's
from all
everything
the
you
people
consume,
learned,
and they've learned that, and it's been passed on and passed on.
Like 2 add 2.
Yeah.
Whatever you learn, you pass it on.
You're just passing that on, and that's the same with everything I've gone through with the way of suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety. I feel a lot of that is thrown on me and cast on me, and I've taken it in. And some people can handle things absolutely amazing and don't suffer from it. I'm that type of person that just took all this negative in, and that was it, stuck with me. And I wasn't seeing anything. And that's something, again, I think that's sort of programmed. We're kind of given that from a young age.
So what you're saying is that you got told who you are, but you never got asked.
Absolutely, yeah.
And now you've
and
been
now
asked.
It's like, oh, yeah. I'm being
not
asked who I am, and I've gone and find out who I am, or still on that journey of finding out who I am, and enjoying that, and enjoying that there's things to learn about us all the time, and things that we, it's an interesting world inside yourself, working things out.
So if you stay inside, this is like your house, isn't it? And if you keep going out of your house, you'll get squatters. So if you stay inside and take care of, instead of being distracted with the outside, exactly. And then the more that you go into you, the more you comes out of you.
Definitely. And it's getting rid of all that bad energy and all them nasty thoughts. And the moment you do, it's a better place. Definitely.
Okay. Are you all right to end there?
Yeah.